Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's webinar of finding a niche in private practice. So today we are joined by our speakers. As you can see on screen, we have Dr. Isaac Sibui, we have Mbongeni Tsibi, we have Dr. Prudence Butelezi, we have Shoni Ramuhulu, and Professor Mukwena Maepa. We will be discussing in length finding a niche in private practice with Dr. Isaac Sibuyi, who will be our first speaker for the day. Dr. Sibuyi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Brad, and good evening to everybody. I'm actually privileged to be part of the speakers tonight. Our topic, as you all have seen, is finding a niche in a private practice. I'm a dentist, and actually, I'm going to be speaking about what is happening in the dental field. But some of the topics that I'm going to be speaking about is actually that which can be utilized across the board, whether it be in the corporate world or in healthcare system. All right. Okay. My second slide then. Firstly, is to describe what a niche is. A niche is actually a small, specialized market for a particular product or service. Like I've said, I'm a dentist, so if we're going to be speaking about a niche, I'm not going to be speaking about. I'm going to mention dentistry as it is. What are the subject matter in dentistry, but as a graduate student or undergraduate student, you have to know that you have been given a platform to be able to have everything that will assist you in helping the patients or your customers. But a niche is a market, is a very specific segment of consumers who share characteristics, and because of those characteristics are likely to buy a particular product or service. As a result, niche market comprise of a small, highly specific groups within a broader target market you may be trying to reach. I'll give an example, of a niche market. Say, for instance, a coffee shop. You are in the mall. You can go to different coffee shops there and get a different taste of coffee. Similarly, in a healthcare system, especially in dentistry, you can have 4 or 5 dentists in the same vicinity, but you know that not all of them are going to be interested in, say, for instance, doing aesthetics or root canal filling or orthodontics and such. So, as an undergraduate, you have been given the platform. You have been given a wide variety of, market offering to explore. Yet, as an undergraduate, you actually know less of everything. You don't specialize. You have everything put together in one basket. But you know that even when you were studying, there were things or there were subjects that you actually didn't like that much. There were subjects that were a little bit of a daunting task when you were supposed to carry them on. So as you are now out there in practice, you have to make sure that your treatment offering is not only based on what you're interested in. It's not only based on your, how can I put it? Yes, what you're interested in. It's not a matter of I'm interested in this subject. It's a matter of I've got passion for this subject. And interest and passion are two different things, because somebody can have passion or can have, when somebody has passion, when something goes wrong or when something doesn't go according to plan, he's more worried because this is attached to him. So when somebody has a niche or somebody has a specific subject that is much interested in, when things don't go the right way, he tends to be worried about it and he actually want to perfect it. So this is what basically we're talking about today. As I've said, there's a difference between specialty and niche. Specialty, you can be, for example, an orthodontist. That doesn't mean that you should only be concentrating on that. Being an orthodontist, for example, is it means that you're working with straightening of teeth. But somebody who is an orthodontist might be interested in the surgical part of being an orthodontist. I'll stray a little bit and go to say the medical field. Somebody can be a pediatrician, but you focus much on say for example the speech and hearing, you know, in your field of study. So we must be able to differentiate between, I'm a specialist, but what is it that I'm interested in? If I'm a dentist, I've got the general knowledge of everything. But what is it that I'm going to be focusing on when I'm in private practice? And also that there's something that we need to take into cognizance, that you cannot master everything. And being a dentist is actually a daunting task, because we've got a lot of information in Google, you know, in the internet, versus the demands of the community that we are serving. Most of them have been to Google. They've seen how aesthetic dentistry is. They've seen how restorative dentistry is. And if you're going to give less, you know, than their expectations, you actually didn't provide the service. And we actually are in a difficult situation when looking into how our system is set up, you know, in South Africa, because we also concentrating on medical aid. So you must not find yourself being drawn towards what medical aid offer. You should actually concentrate on what you can offer, what you as a person, you as a qualified dentist can offer. So what is it that you can actually you know, stand out in the community, that this is what I can do as a dentist. This is what I know, that when you come in as a patient, I'm able to do sufficient groundwork. I'm able to do proper diagnosis. I'm able to tell that I cannot do this part of treatment. I can only be able to do up to so far, and then some of the things I will have to refer to somebody else. And this should be the basis of the existence of dentists. If you cannot diagnose, if you cannot plan, then you have a problem, because there's no way that as dentists we can say we're treating patients that are just walking in. It would be difficult to do that, because there's planning behind everything. You don't just, and most of the things or most of the procedures that we do, we need to be hands-on. We need to master the art of working as a dentist. So mostly it is also difficult to work, you know, as a group if you're not disciplined. We'll talk about this as we go forward. But now the business of dentistry, it has to do with you know, having an innovative mindset, customer-centric, and being a visionary leadership. I've already mentioned that you know, dentistry needs diagnosis, and I can say even other medical fields or health care fields. You need to know if the diagnosis is correct. If you're not sure, I don't know if you should continue treating if you're not sure of what the patient's problems are. Because and if we base our discussion on diagnosis, it means there should be specific machinery or specific equipments that you're going to have to be able to diagnose. So in other ways, diagnosis is the basis of everything. You haven't yet selected your niche when you can diagnose, but you can say that I can only diagnose, I can only buy this state-of-the-art 3-dimensional scans, I can buy x-rays, you know, you can buy all these tests that we are using to test if the tooth is vital or non-vital. And I know that I cannot use my hands, but I can diagnose. So somebody can be there where you can work, you can actually work as a diagnostic dentist, and somebody can be there who is actually hands-on working with patients. So you just give your findings, and then another dentist will carry on. If that particular dentist is not well trained in that field of the final diagnosis, it means you can also have somebody else that can carry on and give our patients or our clients, you know, the best treatment that we can have. So Another thing is that we should be customer centric. If you're customer centric, it means everything that you do has to consider the customer. He has to consider the patient that present him or herself to your office. So in other words, if somebody says, I've been to Google, I've seen this and that being done, is it possible to do it here? If you cannot do it, you should be able to open and say, I cannot carry on this kind of a treatment. And of course, because now we're working as we should be working as a team. I've said if you can be a diagnostic somebody and not even touch the patients, but just look at what the radiographs and 3D scans are showing you and pass it over to somebody, then it means you should be also a visionary, you should have visionary leadership. In other words, you should be able to communicate with those that you're referring to. So I've already mentioned one niche. You can be a diagnostic dentist, and somebody can be the operative dentist, operatory dentist. Now, we are business people as dentists and as healthcare professionals. We are in private practice. Yes, we should have that compassion. Yes, we should. We are controlled and bound by the ethical standards of the HPCSA and of the healthcare system. But yet, you are a business. So, in other words, when you're starting in your practice, you were taking everybody. You were taking, you know, some of us, and I don't want to say some of you because I'm not part of it. I'm not in any network. So I don't take all the medical aid. How did I come to that stage? It's because I've started somewhere. I was taking everybody. I mean, everybody, signing contracts left and right. But when you do that, you actually are trying to get a number of clients or number of patients into your practice. When time goes on, you'll realize that you're spending much more money and don't get paid for what you present, for what you can offer to these patients. And for example, we get network patients where you know that instead of removing this tooth, when you remove this tooth, you are being paid 200 rands. Even your local anesthetic doesn't cost that much. Do you still really need to continue to treat such patients? Because in other words, you are actually a cheerful giver. You're not, getting the value for what you spend. So with time, you'll start cutting off such patients. You'll start saying, look, if you cannot pay me additional this much, then I'm not able to help you. That's when you start cutting off certain patients. You're starting focusing on certain people that can be able to afford the kind of services that you give. I'll give another example. You can be the best tooth extractor or best dentist in the world who can extract a tooth. But if you can't preserve the bone and if you can't focus on the future of where the tooth has been removed, then you have got a problem because somebody removed the tooth. There's, say, bone destruction there. You will heal because you are human, because God made it that there is healing properties in your body. You will heal. And somebody makes sure that when he removes the tooth, he makes sure the bone is conserved. So in the future, if you want to restore or to replace that tooth, you're able to replace it without extra cost. Now, medical aid will pay you the same amount, but is that what you are worth as a dentist, as somebody who has made sure that there is an extra step, extra training towards getting to that stage where you preserve a bone structure? So if such is happening, there's no way in the world that two dentists can charge the same amount. Is the medical aid rates the standard? I don't think so. It cannot be the standard. As a dentist, as a medical or healthcare provider, you should charge what you're worth. And if you were in the government system, they would be staging you. You are in. I don't know because I'm not in the government, but they should be staging you are in level 2, level 3, level 4, and the salaries aren't the same, but you're doing almost the same work. So now in private practice, who's promoting you? Why are we getting the same payment by medical aids, whether you have an extra training in certain parts? So this as a business life cycle, it tells you that with time, you should start narrowing down on what is your market offering, on what you're doing, and you actually be starting to make sure that you specialize in a certain field, a small scale field. So in that way, it means you are actually narrowing towards a special niche that you can offer. Now, we provide value to our patients, to our customers. But now, if that is a road that I was just, playing with a drone and the road to Graskop, I mean, not to Graskop, to Leidenberg. Now, I compared this road construction versus any road, just an ordinary road. These people that actually paved this road, they provide value for money. They actually worked on the foundation before they build it. Somebody would have just made sure that it's a track. You didn't even do it. You didn't spend more money. So we always put higher value on outcomes that took a significant amount of time, effort, and resource to achieve. So even in the healthcare system, in dentistry especially, specifically, if I restore a tooth and take 3 minutes, and somebody restore a tooth and takes 1 hour 30 minutes, why should we charge the same amount? I don't think we should do that. So that is why you should be able to say that network patients, I'm not going to be charging what the network is giving. I'm not going to be charging what the medical aid is offering, because I spend more time doing what I do. I use material that are actually more costly than what the medical aid is offering. I'm not here about medical aid. I'm here about trying to show that, yes, you can be able to charge what you are worth based on the fact that you actually put yourself in the position to be able to charge that. If you can't achieve further training so that you're able to charge more, then there is a problem. You have to have further training when you come out of a varsity. Then, welcome to our world. Niches allow a practitioner to exist in their line of practice. I stay in dentistry, but under right conditions, the practitioner will thrive and play a unique role. So if somebody comes to my practice, he must know that there's a value for that he's going to get in my practice. So how do I make sure that whatever I do or whatever procedure I do, I'm actually putting my effort to it? Is that certain things I'm not supposed to do, certain things you have to delegate, certain things you have to say, I cannot do this, I can only carry this. So in other words, you're choosing what you're supposed to do. Yet you must not forget that the basic of everything is to be able to manage emergencies, because remember, you've got an oath that you took. So if you manage emergencies, you can say that, Mr. So-and-so, the case or whatever you have, I will manage pain and sepsis now, but I have to send you to a specific person that can work maximally with this. There's no way you can book accommodation at the shack and expect to be treated like you are in Sandton or at a 5-star hotel. So if you go to a practice that has just a limited amount of equipment, and a practice that has invested in equipment, in diagnostic equipment, in lots of treatment modalities, and as a specialty, how are you expecting to get the results of such practice compared to a practice that only has basic instruments? So in other words, you're supposed to step up. You're supposed to increase or to build up on your equipment. Dentistry, you can look at preventative dentistry, you can look at orthodontics, you can look at restorative prosthodontics, you can look at periodontics, you can look at and specializing in implantology, for example. So you have to go and do special training for these. And once you master this, it means there should be specific people that you are seeing. For example, I'm giving an example without fear. I cannot do an implant on a GEMS patient because they just don't have sufficient funds. I'm just heard about extra funds that are there where you have to apply and you can wait for 6 months or even more than that, and those funds are never available. So if you say that I'm not going to be taking GEMS patients, but I'm going to be doing implants, you're saying that I'm going to only take people that are going to pay me. That's another example. You can also go to endodontics. And the other, niche that I think we are not, as dentists and as healthcare practitioners, considering is the managerial part of healthcare system, the sales part of healthcare system. We know the need and we know the companies that are available, but we know that they cannot provide all that we need. Or if they can provide all that we need, the really price hikes that we see, it's appalling. I'm not sure of if I'm the only one seeing this, but I cannot be using a restorative material for dentistry that is 300 and something, and then somebody use a restorative material that is 1,000 and above, and we're still charging the same thing. So I think there we should be looking at what is it that will put me in a position that I'll stand out. What is it that will make the patients out there choose my practice over their other practice? If I can extract a tooth more than somebody else, yes, be it. I will be extracting teeth, and I can work in partnership with other dentists around me, and then we can all survive. I hope I'm still doing fine on time. That side, just let me know if I should stop. But now, if you go in private practice, your goal should be develop products and services that meet your niche, unique needs and desires. For example, if I'm going to be looking at orthodontics, straightening teeth, my adverts should actually target those people. And where do I put my adverts? Can I go and put my adverts in buses? I'm not sure. People that are traveling to work with buses, I'm not sure if those are going to be the people that will afford the orthodontics. If they can, well, put it there, put it out there. But if you go and put your advert where people are always spending more time in, for example, in social media, in Facebook and all that, TikTok, which I don't know how to operate, of course, but I've heard about it and I know it's something that you can play with. So if you can be able to do that, really, it means there are specific people that you are targeting. I repeat, we are business people, not only healthcare providers, and that's it. We are business people, and as business people, we should be able to say that this is what I specialize in, and this is what I charge. This is what I'm worth charging. Show empathy for your needs through your marketing messages. I've already spoken about this. If you can take a picture, you can take a picture of that. I don't want to spend much time on this. The world of dentistry, dentistry and technology. If you don't have diagnostic aids, I've already mentioned this. If you can't plan the treatment, then don't carry out that treatment, because if it fails and you refer, it means I should start solving the problem, solving the failures, and that is not what is supposed to be. But then thinking about a niche, I have to also mention that if you just qualified, I've shown the business life cycle. Please, you are welcome to take everybody that comes to your practice, but be prepared to spend more. Be prepared to spend money on that. Be prepared to actually have the profit margin. Your profit margin will be actually limited. You're spending more on getting your materials and equipment, and you're getting less out of that. It means then you should consider your practice takes everybody. It's actually a practice that accommodates everybody. So you will be losing money in the process, and you won't be making more profit. And when you go home, you will be tired actually. And we dentists, we're sitting down all the time, so our backs are always aching because of the way we sit. And now questions that you need to ask yourself: is it okay to niche too soon, or is it too late to find your niche? I'm like 25 years in private practice. Yeah, 25 years in private practice. So by now I should actually be saying that I'm not extracting teeth. And of course, this is what is happening. I extract less teeth in my practice because I can offer endodontics as an alternative. Now, those that can afford endodontics obviously will be referred to my practice. And I'm happy that I get several referrals from dentists around. And just to add spice on what I've been talking about, your practice goals. I said you must consider your clients as well. And you also have to adhere to budget constraints. Dentistry equipment is expensive, and you should be able to maintain your timeline. What is it that you want to achieve in 3 months or 3 years or 4 years? Do you still want to continue treating everybody? Do you still want to continue being a generalist, or you have to look at narrowing your treatment modalities? I've actually deleted some of the slides. Finally, I have a take-home message. Take-home message is, we are dentists, we are business people, we are healthcare professionals, but at the same time, we are supposed to adhere to the scope of practice. Do not say I have now a specific people that I'm treating. This is the niche that I'm treating, only to find that it is not acceptable by the healthcare professional of South Africa. Have a paper, have a qualification. Build your confidence in that specific area of dentistry that you want to pursue, or that specific area where you want patients to know you about. And of course, there should be approvals from the healthcare professional of South Africa. Your goals, do not forget that you are a business person, though adhere to ethics. And we know economic constraints that are here. I've already mentioned that dentistry equipment is very expensive. So if you can work in partnership, it is actually not nice to see ourselves scattered all over the place. I've got a machine that is lying there, is not used the whole week because I'm in this practice here only one day, in a week. Imagine if we were in a group practice, that expensive machine would be used effectively. So I actually have a white elephant there. So we should try to work in groups. But what makes us fail is that everybody says, I'm a dentist, my qualification is the same as yours. So there's nothing that you're doing that is better than what I do. It is not true. We see failures of treatment outside and we retreat them. But at the same time, we are saying to all of us, let's try to strengthen us, let's try to build us. And of course, we have to look at risks. Now there's NHI that is coming. If I have expensive equipment in my practice and I've been treating cash patients only, what will happen when NHI comes in? Will I be contracted out, or I would like to treat everybody within NHI? Am I going to get value for what I've already put in my practice? So as we do that, as we selective, as we say that this is what I'm going to be doing in my practice, also take into cognizance that there is NHI on its way. And lastly, have good systems in your practice. I've said it, if you can have a dentist that work without an appointment book, I still wonder how we do this, because most of our treatment offering or our treatment modalities, they need your hands, they need your time, they need your concentration. So if I cannot plan, or if I don't have an appointment, it means I haven't planned. So if you can make an appointment and get diagnosed, make another appointment if you can, if there's space, and then you can actually be able to carry out what you're supposed to carry out. I've cut my slide. Also, do not work as an island. These are the guys that have helped me. This is called Omeri, and Omeri is actually the initials of each and every one of these guys. These chaps and the company Omeri Hair Holdings, we are doing training for, we actually training dentists, we're giving lectures, CPD accredited conferences that we hold. So that is Odirile, is the O in Omeri, that is Marcus, this is Eric, this is Ratati, and that's me, Isaac. So it's Omeri Holdings. We're giving lectures and we're specifically concentrating on endodontics. If you are anywhere, because Odirile is in Pretoria Central, and Marcus is in Soweto and Ekurhuleni area. He is in Beresford and Lightenberg. He is in Bethlehem, and I'm in Hazyview and White River. So if you have a difficult case as a dentist in endodontics, you know where and which people to refer to. We know you can do endodontics, but can you do it perfectly? Can you do it to last? Can you do it to success or to succeed over 5 years and above? If you cannot, there are people to refer to. So don't work as an island, and let's try to swallow our pride. If I cannot do something, refer. and don't attempt to do it, and refer when there is damage, because then you are making your referral point, master of everything. Thank you very much, and thank you to our host, and thank you, Dr. Cruz. I actually prepared this lecture 2 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was just lying there because this session had to be postponed. Thank you so much, and I hope I kept my time. But
thank you, Dr. Sibui. Yes, you did. You did. Thank you for that. We really appreciate your insights there. We are now going to be hearing from Professor Mokoena Maepa, a clinical psychologist who is currently an associate professor at Sefako Makgatho Health Sciences University. Professor, we will be moving to you. I'm just going to remove Dr. Sibui's presentation, and you can start presenting on your side. Over to you.
All right. Good evening, colleagues. Thank you so much to Dr. Sibui, who has already made a fabulous, I think, introduction to the actual session of the night. Like I've been introduced as Professor Mokoena Maepa, but I think my brand trademark will go with Dr. Mokoena Maepa because I've branded that for a long time. So I still very much identify with that title than this new title. And of course, in the market, that is also what is selling. So I would like to present my slides that I'll be using for the talk this evening. How do I go about it? I think I need to upload first. No, pardon me. I think I did not prepare them for uploading. And maybe perhaps technical team, can you assist on your side so that I don't waste much
Not
time?
a problem. If are you getting any errors trying to upload the presentation?
It's supposed to allow me to share my screen. Let's see what happens when I share.
Okay.
No, I'm not getting the screen that I want to share. Let me see. Oh, that's it.
Oh, okay.
Yes. All right. Let me make a
There
slideshow.
we go.
All right. Like I've said, I've branded myself, and I think because when you're in practice, you also have to have an identity. So tonight I'll be talking to our colleagues, and my talk is mainly addressing psychologists because I'm a psychologist by profession. So the one thing I remember that I can share when I take it back to my years in training, one of the professors back then said, also given the nature of work that we as psychologists do, that when you decide to go into private practice, remember you are then going into a business and you are not running a charity. And for me, that was rattling at that time to saying, but people come to you as a psychologist in troubled, seeking help. What did he mean when he said you are not running a charity? It means if you are empathic and forget that you are running a business, you are likely to close your shop very soon. So just do consider when you're in practice, you are in business, you are not running a charity. So now in training, we're not taught much of the business models. This is something that you then need to develop as you grow post your training, to saying what are the business models that are out there. If you can see in the business model, money talks. Here I'm displaying cards that shows that different type of cards and business money talks. So how do you then set up yourself as a practitioner, developing your niche, but being mindful that this is a money industry? Yes, it's a service rendering industry, but in essence, you are actually rendering a business, running a business. So I would like to introduce to saying what could be those things that influences one's niche area. As a person, you need to understand or you need to ask yourself these questions. Is my need or my niche financially motivated? Is it passion motivated, or is it a personal purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And oftentimes I talk to colleagues, they feel drained, they are overwhelmed in different sectors, be it in private sector, be it in government. I often ask them, what is your why? Have your why question. Why am I doing what I'm doing? If you can answer your why, then you'll find it a way that even when it's challenging, because running a business as a professional, especially in this country, in the general Black African communities, it will be challenging. They will have challenges. There will be a day when you don't have clients. There will be a day where you're not covering your overheads. What do you do? But now, as you learn, as you grow, as you practice, you then start asking yourself, is there a financial gain in what I want to do? Because you now need to differentiate yourself as a professional and as a business person. As a business person, you want to make profits. As a professional, you want to render a service that makes a difference in people's lives. So, is this niche area that I want to venture in? Is it something that brings in more money, more profits for the practice? Or is it something that I want to craft more because it's a passion that I have? Or I want to do this because at the end of the day, I want to leave a mark. This is a personal purpose to say, I will be remembered that I was Dr. Mokoena Mayepa, who was a specialist. In our case, in our professions, we don't have specialists, but somebody who had special interest in this type of work. So as a practitioner, as a psychologist in private practice, you need to think, is it a financial gain? Is it passion? Is it personal purpose? Then these three factors, your answer to this will then enable you to move forward to the next level. So when you want to go about finding your niche, don't forget the clients, because the clients are the ones that brings money to the table. Does your niche resonates with what your clients' needs are? You might have a particular niche, but wherever, and also the area and the location where you are based in somehow does influence that clientele that you'll be having. So you ask yourself, am I meeting the needs of my clients? If not, why should I have this niche that is not really meeting the needs of my clients? Because all the time they'll be calling, do you do, for example, psycholegal work? And you say you don't do psycholegal work. Maybe that's what they want. Or you say you do psycholegal work and there's no client approaching you with psycholegal work. So how do you now make sure that your niche somehow still aligns with the needs of your clients? And remember, you're not going to cater to everyone. So you need to be specific to say, which clientele are you going to work with? Because you cannot cater for everyone. Are these people going to afford your service? If they cannot afford your service, why are you working with them? Because like I said, you're not running a charity. There are referral networks that you're supposed to have to refer them to the services that they think they can afford if they cannot afford your service. So in the process, you need to find your own strengths and your own interest, but in the process, differentiating between interest and passion and what sells the bread, because your interest might not be your passion might not be what sells the bread. So remember to be true to yourself. In the process, like I normally say when I train psychologists, we do use ourselves. We often use ourselves in the work with no much aids, like in other professions. In dentistry, they can take samples. In medicine, they can take samples, take it to the lab will diagnose, somehow give an indication what the challenge is. But in clinical psychology or in psychology in general, we use ourselves as practitioners to do the job. So if you're not true to yourself and you want to venture in something that takes a toll on you, then that is not going to sustain you. Think of yourself with your qualities. What are your unique qualities that you're going to bring to the table? your unique qualities drain from different factors, be it your race, be it your gender, be it your ethnicity, because sometimes clients will go through a profile of psychologists on the internet, and then they're looking for specifically a black female psychologist who can speak a native language. So are you aware of that as an advantage for you? How then do you use that to find a space for yourself in the market where almost everybody's selling the same thing? So after you've identified your unique qualities and you're thinking you can venture into that area, be mindful to know your limits. As we train, remember the BSM has so many disorders, so many psychological or psychiatric conditions that we work with. So are you going to be doing everything? When you are finding your niche, obviously you are not going to be doing everything. That's why you have a right to choose what type of clientele you want to work with. And this now goes back to your unique qualities and your interest. Are you going to work with children? What does it entail when you're working with children? Are you going to work with adolescents? Are you going to work with adults? Are you going to work with couples? Are you going to work with families? Are you going to do psycholegal work, medical legal work, or general psychological assessment work? But best believe you cannot do everything. Find that which is talking to you and confine yourself in that. Of course, you have the general understanding and the general modalities to work from. But when you're now crafting your own niche, you start picking what type of clientele you want to work with. For in my case specifically, I don't work with children, and there's a reason why I don't work with children. That's because parents who are supposed to bring the kids to consultation, they don't want to commit to the process. Why do I start something that is not going to unfold and yield the results that I'm looking for? But when I'm working with an adult, I can challenge that adult to say, you need to commit to the process for you to see that it is working. And then I don't work with families. There's a specific reason that you don't, when you're working with families, particular modalities, particular frameworks that you need to somehow resonate with. And I feel like that is not talking to me as a clinician.
Doctor,
So when you're
sorry,
knowing,
Prof. Sorry, Prof, just to disturb. And you are
yes,
not moving through your slides, and our
on
viewers are
your
not
side.
seeing. Yes. So,
Oh, but on my side, they're
because
moving.
you are sharing your screen, and unfortunately, I can't control the slides. Uh,
Um,
but it just means that you need to move through the slides on your side.
okay. Tell me if there's a move. Are they
Okay.
moving?
Not as yet. We only see the first introduction.
The first slide. Oh,
Yes.
okay. How do I go about it? I thought I was sharing. Let me stop sharing. Let's see how.
Okay, no, Prof, don't stop sharing. Go on the bottom of your slide, on the bottom right, where
Yes.
there's a slideshow there. Just click that. Okay, where it says notes, and then there's another icon, notes at the bottom right.
Bottom right.
Yeah. See where there's a slider, bottom right.
Yes. Yes.
Just on the left of the slider, there's something that looks like a board there. Just click that.
Mm,
Bottom right. Yeah.
I'm just seeing my slides. It actually took me to the end of the slides.
It doesn't move from our side, but if you go to the bottom right, there's a slider.
Mm,
On the left of that slider, there's something that looks like there's an icon there. If you click that, then it will be a slideshow.
mm. Okay. Let me see. Now it's recording what I'm talking, what I'm saying.
Because we can see your cursor moving, so we can see the screen that you're sharing. We just can't see
Mm.
the slideshow yet.
Okay, what did I do now? This is, it took me to the end. I'm struggling to get the icon that you are referring to.
Bottom.
Is it possible for you to upload the presentation under slides? Then I can be able to assist with navigating through it.
Yeah, I think let's try that, and because I'm not seeing the icon that you are referring to. All right, let's try to do that.
All right.
Are you able to see them?
Not yet.
I'm sure.
So it says present. You can just go to slides and then you can be able to upload it there.
Okay. I hope my screen is not sharing because now I've opened
you've stopped sharing.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Oh, it's still uploading. Oh, I realize I've not uploaded.
All right. Yeah, once it's done uploading, then I'll be able to see it on my side.
Okay. All right. Colleagues, sorry about that. I thought we were moving on the same wavelength. My apologies.
There we go. I've got it now. And we are good to go. All right. Thank you. You can continue.
Okay. Can I control from my side? Let me see. Oh, yes.
Yes, you should be able to.
Here. Talking about knowing your limits, that you are not a specialist. So decide what is it that you are going to work with, who is going to be your clientele, and then what is it that you are not going to work with. So that also allows you to talk to your PA, whoever your practice manager, as they are taking calls. They should be able to say to whoever the client who is calling and inquiring, whether does your practice offer this type of a service. Then at that point in time, you can then turn that client and refer them somewhere else to a colleague who does that particular job. So we'll talk about the importance of networking in the process when you are developing your own niche. So we spoke about interest briefly. So I'm still asking a question: is your niche aligning with your interest, or is your niche something that brings money to the table? But be able to differentiate interest and a profitable product. You can have an interest in something, but that something does not sell in the market. So it means you're going to close shop very soon. To avoid closing shop, look at something that is selling. When you're looking for something that is selling, are you the only person doing that type of work, or is it other colleagues in your network or outside your network that are doing that type of work? You also need to be able to differentiate yourself from other colleagues in the market. So remember, we said you are running a business. So this business must pay bills. The bills of running a practice, the overheads are expensive. You have to think of your telephone bills. You have to think of your rooms where you are, whether renting or subletting with a colleague. You have to think of marketing, money for marketing. You have to think of subscription fees, whether for the networks, whether for the, if you're using softwares for your medical aid billings. So before you can even get a salary yourself, employees, if you have a space where you are responsible for the cleaning, you are responsible for security. So if the niche is not profitable, you are not going to pay bills, you are going to close your shop. So whatever you do, it has to be sustainable. In the long run, have a plan to say, in a year, how much money do we need to sustain the practice before you even thinking of of profits. So if you need, let's say, 1 million rands to sustain your practice, is your clientele affording you 1 million rands to pay your bills? In the process, you should allow yourself to evolve. Where you started as a beginner practitioner and where you are going, it should not limit you to that. So allow yourself to evolve, allow yourself to learn from others, and allow yourself to redefine your craft as time goes on. Don't restrict yourself to one thing. And also look at what is happening, the trends in the market. Are you moving far away from the trends in the market, meaning that you are moving far away from your clientele, or are you still linked to your clientele? These are the things that you need to consider as a clinician. So as psychologists, we know that it's a statutory requirement that we get extra supervision. So when you're finding your niche, remember you are an amateur in this field. So there are those that have walked the journey before you. Identify somebody that you think you can work with, somebody that can give you supervision, who is experienced in a particular, let's say, for example, you want to venture into psycholegal work. Find practitioners that have been there before, that have been doing psycholegal work for you to get supervision. Remember, you have to pay for this supervisor. When I said have a niche that is profitable, the very same profits that you have in your practice are the ones to sustain you in terms of paying for a supervisor. Sometimes maybe you feel like a supervisor is going to judge you because you are so much inexperienced. You can have peer mentorship and you can join peer reading clubs. This in the process then gives you confidence to saying, I'm not yet at the level of an experienced supervisor or an experienced practitioner, but within the peer networks that I have, I do have support. Peer networks works in twofold. It allows you professional support, but it also allows you a space to vent, a space to be heard, a space to be mentored, a space to be where a colleague can say, we understand the challenges that you are facing. So sometimes they even give you tips and guidance on how to improve certain things. When you're joining reading clubs, remember continuous professional development. You have to be on par with research that is in the area that you are working on. You cannot come with an outdated maybe article or an outdated technique that is no longer effective. So when you're joining reading clubs, you also know what is new, what is trending in the market. That will then lead you to now furthering your skill or furthering your experience by from peer networks, from reading clubs. Then that leads you to further training, additional training, and this training should be by creditable training authorities. Don't go to the fly-by-night training authorities and you claim that you have had additional training on a particular modality. So whatever company or whatever training industry that you want to affiliate with is supposed to be creditable. Attending workshops and conferences is a must. Remember, last year it was trending when HPCSA did a random edit of colleagues, both in private practice and in government sector. So when you're in private practice, remember now, even your insurance that you use for your practice, they will check up on you whether you are keeping on par with the latest developments. So if you are not attending conferences and workshops, you are likely to slack behind. And sometimes clients view your profile and they realize that we see you are very experienced in A, B, and C. We see that you have attended so many conferences, so many workshops. We would want to be seen by somebody like you. And conferences do not have to be online, in person. But nowadays, like we are here this evening, is an online session in the comfort of your own space. So there's no excuse that you can give to the professional board when they are auditing your CPD points to say you did not have time to attend professional development. One thing that I like about platforms like this, they also then help you to connect and network with colleagues in the field. It's very, very important to have your own network of colleagues that you work with, because you can then use them for peer mentorship, but you can also use them for cross referral. In our case, it's even very important because of ethical obligations that the line of work we do, it warrants a lot of cross referral. So have people that you know you're going to refer to, and then they're going to refer to you, in that way building your practice. So now that you know what you need to do, where to go for supervision, getting into your business, Toyota has not stopped advertising. BMW has not stopped advertising their product. It has been there for over so many years. So what would then sustain you when you're in private practice? It is very, very important that you analyze the markets, analyze your competitors, and refine your product in such a way that it distinguishes you from the other colleagues doing the same thing. So in the area where you are or outside the area, what are the trends like? What is the market? What is the clientele? Oftentimes also where your practice is situated, because the clients still prefer to go to a contact session. So where you are situated, access to you, does somebody have to catch 3 taxis to come to see you, or 1 taxi ride, or a walk to your offices? Those are the things that you also have to be mindful. The area where your practice is can either make or break your practice, because picket lines like myself, there are some areas that I will not go into. So be mindful of where you locate yourself. Access, visibility, security, those are the things you need to be mindful of. Knowing your competitors, they are not only competitors, but they can also be a referral network. Competitors are those not in your referral network. You need to know that I'm not working with person A, B, and C, maybe because of their work ethic, because in our business, work ethic is very, very important. So associate yourself with people whom you think their work ethic aligns to who you are. And then, because our work is very time orientated, appointment orientated, be mindful to offer timeous appointments. Be a practitioner that exists. When I refer clients out of my practice to other colleagues elsewhere, I tell them it might be 30 kilometers away, it might be 40, 50 kilometers away, but there's a specific reason. One reason I say I refer to a practitioner that exists. The practitioner that exists is the person that you will call, they will answer your phone, they have a clear, visible address, easy access to the clients. So in your practice, you have to be mindful that your appointments, you're also accessible. Don't be somebody who books clients 6 months down the line. That is not going to work, because these people, by the time they see you, oftentimes it was a last resort. So give clients timeous appointments. And you have to offer quality service. If you're not offering quality service, you'll see people coming in but not coming back. So one thing that is also important is to check with your client. Where did they hear from you? How did they learn of your services? What are the reviews online that your clients give of you? So you have to be very, very mindful of what your clients are saying about you in terms of your reviews. Are they satisfied with the service that they received or not? Because you have to also keep check with what your clients are saying. So you have to think of a marketing strategy. Remember, everything involves finances. How are you going to market yourself? I'm thinking also aligning with the professional obligations and the requirements of marketing our practices. That's why there's a specific way as professionals, especially psychologists, that we market our practices. So you start small. From a word of mouth, that quality patient care you've offered is a word of mouth advertising. I check with my clients, where did they hear of me? No, a friend of a friend was a client in your practice. You start small, reasonable, capitalize on online sites that you can subscribe to for free. Most sites are available for free for you to market your practice. And then those that have a subscription fee, it has to be a reasonable subscription fee for you to be able to market your product. Networks are very important, not only within the psychology discipline, but also outside other disciplines. Your GP is your closest friend. Your psychiatrist is your closest friend. Nowadays, given the modern nature of surgery, our surgeons also become our friends because of cosmetic surgery that we tend to see nowadays. So know who your network referral points are, who brings clients to your practice, and who do you send clients to. Like I said, I refer clients to a practitioner that exists, a practitioner that I can call or that I can WhatsApp and give feedback or give pointers. When I refer the client to this person, I expect that they are going to give me feedback on the client that I've referred to. So there's no client lost in between your office and the psychiatrist office, your office or the GP's office. You have to be very mindful. Your referral base, it's very important that you have a sustainable referrals base, and then you maintain that. This is friendships, this is partnerships. Annually, what do you do? Annually, almost at the end of the year, I go to gift shops, buy like pens or cups, and I give to the practitioners that I work with as a token of appreciation, but also for them not to forget me in the next year calendar when we reopen our business. So that's how I tend to maintain my referral base. Local clubs, sometimes you can join local reading clubs. They're also very helpful in terms of marketing, and then offer to give talks in groups or in wherever. Sometimes you should, when they ask you to give a talk on radio, don't undermine that. Remember, you'll be, let's say, for example, Metro FM asking you to give a talk on understanding the impact of bullying. Avail yourself for such type of platforms, because at the end of the day, they're asking you to give your details to the listeners if they want to connect with you. So that's how now you ensure that your marketing strategy is consistent. When you're online, make sure to maintain a healthy online presence. Still be mindful of what the HPCSA regulations are about our online presence as practitioners. As psychologists, it's even very tedious because of the nature of work that we do. So I normally advise, if you are an online user yourself, social media user, maybe have two separate accounts, your own personal account that cannot be linked to your business account, because on your personal account you'll post whatever that you want to post. You're on vacation and your PA tells them, oh no, the doctor's not available, and they say like, yeah, she's not available because she's on vacation and we are here needing her services. So it's better to differentiate between your personal profile and your business profile when you're online. What type of online person are you? Some people are very aggressive online. Are you that type of a person who is very aggressive online? Because you are a professional in this specific industry as a psychologist, you know not much about social media. Maybe consider hiring a social media manager, somebody who's going to make sure that your online platform is healthy in that regard. Our work is time constrained, so make sure you do have adequate time management skills. In this essence, you have to invest time into your practice, invest time into your niche, but how do you balance that between your other responsibilities? You, like for example, on average, on an 8-hour working day, in our case, an 8-hour working day, you'll divide it into either consulting, writing reports, responding to queries. So how do you make sure that you balance between all your responsibilities when you are crafting your niche? Is very important. Sometimes people have a dual jobs, like myself. I have a primary job and then I have this as my business. How do I make sure that my primary job and my secondary job, they do not suffer, but instead they overlap and support each other? Those are the things that you need to be mindful of. And at the end of the day, you have to think at everything that you do as a clinician, how does it impact on your personal time? It's a statutory requirement for us as psychologists to be on the lookout for burnout. The work we do make us, how do I put it, predisposes us to burnout. So be on the lookout of burnout, and do have a very clear self-care plan. This is an ethical requirement. It's not a plus, something that you say additionally, this is what you do. Self-care plan, going to your own therapist, taking leave. So how do you plan out your leave? You have to allow your PA or train your PA to allow you leave in between the consulting, in between writing reports, or 1 week you are not in the office, you are not working because you are on leave. If you don't do this, there's going to be a lot of errors of judgment that you're going to do, and some of these patients are going to report you to the HPSSA. So you don't want to be reported. So take care of yourself as a psychologist. Your niche should not take away your personal time that allows time for personal self-care. So at the end of the day, this job has to be somehow satisfactory to you. So after crafting your niche and making sure that you have invested in the niche, is it going to allow yourself to see yourself prospering? Is it something that is going to lead you to a dead end very soon? Is it going to be fulfilling to you? Remember, fulfilling in a practice sense, is it making profits that you are fulfilled with the profits? Luckily, sometimes it can also be passionate, something that you are passionate about. But ask yourself, am I going to be fulfilled? Why am I chasing the targets as I'm chasing them? Are you able to impart knowledge or skill to others? Are you going to work with other people and developing upcoming psychologists who are going to be looking up to you, not mimicking you, becoming themselves, but still looking up to you? Also, at the end of the day, our job entails making a difference in people's lives. So do be mindful that you have to be fulfilled at some point, impart knowledge or skill, and then make a difference in people's lives. So this is where I would end my presentation. And then I think there will be a round of questions and answer session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you for those insights. Before we take questions for Professor Mokoena Maeba, I've got one question which was directed to Dr. Sibui. But I think it's a question that will be applicable to all our speakers for this evening, which was a question from Rialebo Hamhambi, which is, can one have a niche in multiple areas? I will leave this question with both you, Prof, and Dr. Sibui to just answer the question for us.
Okay, maybe I can start since while I was on the platform. As a psychologist, I think it's possible to have a niche in multiple areas, given the nature of work that we do. Part of the work that we do is what you call a therapeutic work, and then on the other side, there's what we call psychological assessments, and it's very broad. The therapeutic work is also very broad. The psychological assessment is also very broad, but our work is not confined to that. Sometimes you might find yourself also venturing into a mini entrepreneurial space where you also render, let's say for example, workshops, trainings, supervisions. So but for me, what I normally say, what helps is that what I do in my academic space somehow fits into my practice, and I limit the type of work in my practice to allow time on both sides. So I don't bite more than what I can chew. But yes, of course, you can have a niche maybe in psychological assessments, whether doing psycholegal work or medical legal work, scholastic assessments, different type of assessments. Or as on the therapy side, you're deciding, I want to work with adults, not families, not couples, not children. So, given the nature of the profession, you can find yourself doing two separate things that at the end of the day, they feeding each other in your practice space.
Thank you, Prof. Dr. Sibui, your view?
Um, I never thought I will get a question that I'll answer with a yes or no at the same time. But yeah, it is. And like I've mentioned during my presentation, dentistry equipments are costly. And, finding yourself in multiple practices, for example, um, you actually are not going to give the same treatment forms in all those practices in most of the time. So I've seen people with multiple practices where in one practice there's not even a diagnostic X-ray, and how do you really work in that way? So if you can, it means in one practice you will have to outsource some of these things. You will have to get another practitioner to take the diagnostic X-rays and bring them to your practice. So that is why I said my answer is a yes and no. Let me speak on my behalf. One practice has a CBCT. It is a scan, a 3D X-ray. The one practice doesn't have it. And I get a patient on the other practice who wants a CBCT. It eats me up that I'm not providing this patient with the best that I could. So I have to send this patient up and down to go to the other practice and take a practice. Imagine somebody who has got 4 or 5 practices. What happens? And how far apart are they from each other? Like the no part of it, it's based on that. The yes part of it is based on the fact that you can be the managerial part, like I've mentioned, if you're selling equipment, selling materials and all that, so you can have the specific niche in different areas. And another example, it will be if you are doing non-invasive procedures, examples being bleaching, teeth bleaching. So that you don't need a lot of equipment. You can actually carry around your equipment in the boot, so you will be able to work there. Things like endodontics. I've got a headache in that I have to go to this practice that is about 200 kilometers from me. I only go there, once in one Sunday. At 25 years in practice, I'm still working on Sundays. That's weird, but it happens. So when I go to that practice, what eats me up is that there is no microscope that I have in my practice. So I want to do root canals, but I don't have a microscope. It is actually difficult because some of the things I can't see. I feel like I'm doing substandard work at times. So that is why my answer is a yes and no. And I hope it covered all. Thank you.
I think it really did. Thank you for that, Dr. Sibui. Our next speaker that we'll be moving to is Shoni Ramuholo, who's a senior occupational therapist and in private practice at Ramuholo NM Shoni Occupational Therapist and Disability Management. Shoni, if you can just take us through your presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Program Director. I hope you'll be able to help me with my slides. If you could just
Certainly.
move them for me, one bullet at a time.
All right.
And thank you to the previous speakers. You've done a great job, and you've made my job much easier going forward. And I've just also tried to take away some of the things that I felt I'll be repeating that were said by the previous speakers. And maybe one should start with...
Before you continue,
Okay.
I just want to disturb you. If you can just wipe your camera lens, it's a bit foggy because I think it just needs to be wiped just so that it's clearer. Yes, it's much
Is it
better.
better?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, I was still saying maybe I should start by answering the question that the previous speakers were trying to answer. I would also say a yes and a no. Yes, in the sense that it depends who you are. What is it that you want to achieve? So if what you want to achieve falls within or over one or two or more areas, you are more than welcome to do that. As long as your abilities, your skills, and your knowledge would be able to support that. And then no, in the sense that you need to be able to be an expert. And for you to be an expert, you need to be focusing in a particular area so that you can give your best, so that you can be able to compete with yourself, because it's very important to compete with yourself, not with other people. Because when you compete with yourself, you'll be able to achieve more, because you'll be able to evaluate yourself and be able to go forward with your business, be able to sell your product, be able to sell yourself, your brand. I always say, when you are in private practice, you yourself are a brand, and your practice is also a brand. So you have to position yourself and your brand, as in the practice, in a way that you will be able to develop that niche. It does not matter how you develop it, but the important thing is you need to make sure that you develop that niche so that you can identify well with your customers. Please move the slides for me.
All right. Thank you.
I wouldn't go much into the definition because a lot has already been said. To the previous slide. Okay. Why is it important for you to find your niche? It is very important for you to find a niche because I've already indicated that you are a brand and you need to build a credible brand. You have to build a credible occupational therapy service, which when your clients come in, would be able to go out and sell you. Marketing is a very important tool, but mouth-to-mouth marketing becomes very more credible and more important because it's somebody that is saying, I went to this service and this is what I received. And it's important for you to also go there. You will be able to get assistance with regard to the challenge that you're facing. Finding your niche also is very important in the sense that it helps you to identify who is it that I want to serve? Who is it that will outsource my brand? Who is it that will outsource my service? So when you have identified your niche, you'll be able to match that with your customers. It's also important because you'll be able to position yourself as an expert in that field. Let's say, for example, you are into children with learning disabilities. You will be able to identify yourself as a therapist who's dealing with children, who's addressing children, a therapist who will be able to interact with children, parents, teachers, and a therapist that will be able to manage that group or that those stakeholders that will help a child to outgrow their challenges that they are encountering during their learning at school. It is also important to identify your niche because you will be able to evaluate your passion and your skills. Because it's also very important to, from time to time, have a mirror, look at yourself, evaluate what you are doing, understand yourself, and know what is it that I'm providing. Am I still providing it at the level that I know to be passionate at? Or do I still have those skills that I need to have to make sure that I render quality service? I offer services that are in line with the standards, services that are in line with the ethics. So for you to do that, you have to, from time to time, evaluate your skills and evaluate your passion. And when you have identified your niche, it also helps you to, as it has been indicated before, that we're running a business. And in business, we're there to make profit. So when you've identified your niche, it's very easy for you to sit back and look and evaluate what you have done before to identify whether you're making a profit or not, which also plays a very important role in the business management. It also helps you to tailor-make your services, to gear all your energies, your resources, your consumables, everything else that you need to promote your service, everything that you need to provide quality services. You'll be able to make sure that you have it available, and you'll be able to make sure that you interact with your customers in the way that you're supposed to offer, in the way that you're supposed to provide as a service provider. And it's important to identify yourself as a service provider, because the service that you're providing, it becomes a service that is received by your clients or your patients. And that service, if you have niche, you have an identified niche, it will be very easy for you to channel it towards making sure that you maximize your efforts. You also give the best service for your clients. Next slide, please. Okay, what are the strategies for you to succeed in private practice when you are running your own business? First and foremost, you have to understand yourself. What do I mean by understanding yourself? You have to know what are your values. You have to know what are my skills. What knowledge do I have? And you have to understand the market that you are within. It's also important to understand your limitations. At times, when we are in private practice, when you're looking at the business part, you sometimes make a mistake where you think, I can do this, when you really can't. So understanding yourself also talks about understanding what is it that I can't do. What is it that I can't do to perfection, such that I can sell myself, so that I can sell the brand that I have, so that I can sell the service that I have to the people. It's also important to be a listener. You have to listen to your clients. During your sessions with your clients, you would get feedback. And that feedback, be it positive or negative, make sure that you use that feedback to continue building your service, building your practice, to better your service. It's also important to observe, because sometimes our clients would not talk to you, but when you're looking at them, you would be able to find out whether they were happy or unhappy with what you are offering or what you have offered. So it's very important for you to observe, listen, so that you can redress where possible. Another very important thing is you need to refill yourself. What do I mean by that? You can never pour from an empty cup. So by refilling yourself, I'm happy my previous presenter spoke about it, that you need to find people that you would talk to so that you can work on your burnout, so that you can also work on your emotions, so that you should also always be tuned to the right emotion for your business. It's also important to refill physically, emotionally, and spiritually, so that you can always be in line to provide the best of your service. It's also very, very important to embrace triple L. What do I mean by triple L? Lifelong learning. I know HPCSA pushes all of us to continue with professional development, but it's also important for your business so that you can learn new skills, so that you can know that whatever you're offering, other people are still offering. Because if you don't go and attend workshops, if you don't go and attend developmental sessions, you will not be able to understand if whatever you're practicing is old, or whatever you're practicing is in line with the current trends. For you to keep up with the current trends, you have to always practice triple L, long life learning. It's also important to develop yourself, that you develop your leadership skills. As health professionals, we're not taught at our training institutions how to become leaders. But once you start running your own business, you are a leader automatically. And when you are a leader, you should lead by example. And you should also make sure that you lead the team to achieve your goals that you've set for yourself, for your business. And you should also make sure that you create an environment. Leadership skills will help you to create an environment that will enable your partners, that will enable your co-workers, your team members, and all the other staff members that you're working with to work towards the same goal, to work towards achieving the values and the goals of the business. I intentionally put this one, humble yourself. We say in business, the customer is always right. And for the customer to be always right, you have to be humble so that you can also listen, whether they are right or wrong. When you're humble, you'll be able to hear them. You'll have that hearing ear, and you'll be compassionate towards whatever that they are bringing to you, positive or negative. You'll be able to accept it and be able to appropriately redress or appropriately try and correct whatever that your client raised during your session or even after, because it's important to also create mechanisms where your clients will be able to communicate to you even after they've left your service, even when they are back at home, when they think of something that has transpired during the session and they feel they need to talk to you. You must open that window for you to be able to communicate to them, for you to be able to get feedback, so that it can also help you to develop further and make sure that your business is what it's supposed to be. Your business is offering the service that you intend your customers to receive. It's also very important to have goals, and those goals, they can be hard goals. When they're hard goals, they challenge you to go and research, to go and ask other people, because it's very important to know where you're going. Know your stakeholders. Interact with your stakeholders to benefit your service. By interacting with your stakeholders to benefit your service, I mean, for example, I've just talked about your patients being able to communicate to you even after they've left the service. So that's one of your stakeholders, because without patients, you don't have that business. So if you know them and you understand them, it will be a plus for you and your service or the business that you're trying to run. And it's also important to know your stakeholders in the sense of where you're getting your service. Like, for example, in occupational therapy, you have medical legal, so it means you have your lawyers, you have your other team members, as in your multidisciplinary team, health team. So you need to know who are you working with, and you need to identify each one's role in enhancing your business. And you should also, it shouldn't be a one-way process. You should also be willing to offer assistance or service to the other stakeholders. Be available to maintain that interaction between you and the other stakeholders. You need to be available, to be accessible, because if you're not available, for example, when your lawyer needs to ask certain questions, and for whatever reason you're not available, you're busy with, since we a lot of times you are diversing, so you're busy with other elements that bring income into your business, and you forget to service this stakeholder. It will be unfair when you yourself need to interact with them. You want them to be available. So make yourself also available and accessible so that you can interact with them anytime when they need your service, and anytime when they need you to interact with them, to give them information, to boost you also, to boost your brand, your business. You need all these various stakeholders. And when you have identified what role do they play, it becomes very important. When we look at a practice, like when you're seeing patients, maybe outpatients or in hospital patients, you also have your stakeholders. Most of the time we have people that claim for us, or people that switch for us. So it's very important to also develop that relationship with them, so that they shouldn't be in a position where they can't give you feedback unless you ask for it. They should be able to be of a helping hand to you, so that you grow your business. So for you to grow your business, for you to be able to manage your business well, you need all these stakeholders who would be providing you with your service, the service that you would require to develop your own business. It's also very important to make yourself available to interact with your stakeholders in a manner that enhances your business, in a manner that gives you further. They always say Red Bull gives you wings to fly further, gives your business wings to fly to wherever you can achieve more goals, more objectives. Because the more you achieve, since you're running a business, is the more you'll be able to get more profit. So it's important for you to have a credible business, have a listening ear, and most importantly, refill yourself. I thank you.
Thank you, Shoni, for such a short and precise presentation. Before we move on, I do have some questions which will require your input as well. We have 3 questions, which I think the 3 speakers that we've had should be able to address, and I think anybody on the platform as the speaker for today should be able to assist with these questions. So the first question is from Mpho Sandra Nekavambe, which says, can I start preparing for my practice while still doing my ComServe, or do I need to have finished completely? We can start with you, Shoni, if you can be able to address that, if you would like to, please.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you can start preparing, because running your own private practice, you need to prepare for that business. So it's important to start, yes, because you need to gather all your information. You also need to be starting identifying your stakeholders, and also maybe starting to relate with those stakeholders, so that you, by the time you eventually go into business, you already have stakeholders that you would be working with. And then it's also important to prepare prior, so that you can make sure you get your equipment, you get your furniture, you get your consumables. So yes, it's very important to prepare while you're still in community service, if you intend to run your own business. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Professor, would you like to give your input on this question? Okay, I think Prof is a bit delayed, but what we can do, we can circle back to Prof. Dr. Sibuyi, would you like to give some input with regards to the question of starting to prepare for your practice while still doing ComServe? Okay.
Can I pass the question? I was still out. I didn't hear it clearly. I'll come back to it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Thank you for that. Shoni, while we still have you, the next question that we have is from Dumisani Mdawe, which is, as much as one would be mindful of the business aspect of private practice, what is your advice on pro bono work, and at what point do we open up to this?
Okay, thank you. A beautiful question. Pro bono work. You can go into pro bono work when you have a contract with whoever that you are offering the pro bono services, because business is business. If you don't have proper legal documents, it will be difficult for you to recover or to get the relevant payment for that service. So yes, it's possible to do it, but you have to make sure that you legally you've protected your service legally. You've put legal means to make sure that at the end of the day, that service would be reimbursed, would be paid for. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any of the other speakers who would like to add on to the question? If none of the speakers, I will re-ask the questions that have been posed at the end of the session, so that all of the speakers have an opportunity to give their view on the questions. Okay. Shoni, last question, which was asked by Lungile Mkonto, is it advisable to have a full-time locums that covers the multiple practices? I think this is specifically for what Dr. Sibuyi had alluded to in his answering of the first question earlier, with regards to running multiple or having multiple niches.
Thank you for that question. It is important to have a locum, not necessarily a full-time, but to have somebody who would cover your services when you can't be available, be it on temporary basis or permanent basis. But yes, it's important to have a locum who would take over and render the service in your absence.
Thank you very much for that answer. I hope this answered the question, but as I have mentioned, I will rephrase the question so that all our speakers can get an opportunity to answer and give their view as well with regards to the questions that have been posed. Our next speaker is going to be Mbongeni Tsibi, who is, let me just quickly, sorry, there we go. Our speaker is going to be Mbongeni Tsibi, who is a dietitian,
Yes.
and he will be taking us through to the next hour. Mbongeni, I will leave it to you, and you can start presenting as soon as you're ready.
Thank you very much. Good evening, colleagues, and good evening to the viewers on the platform. Thank you very much. My name is Mbongeni Tsibi, and I'm a dietitian. I'm a registered dietitian, currently at Mapulane Hospital, and my private practice is at Hazyview. Now the three speakers have actually identified, have done a lot of work in terms of breaking down the topic and the presentation of today. So I'll just take it straight to a profession as a dietitian. Well, what I can say is that with us, with the dietitian, somehow the niche must start with you while you are at school, specifically. While you're still studying, while you're still developing yourself, as well, which course, which modules, which block do you find yourself interesting? Which one are you enjoying yourself? So that as when you come to the field of working, it's just a matter of up to that. And now when you are working, you'll tend to see the need of your services, as that will also push you into coming to private practice and going forward. Well, as for me, what happened to me, because I'm going to talk about my experience and how I'm doing currently, for other dietitians that are coming. For me, it was just a matter of a personal experience in terms of finding out which what passion do I have within my profession. So I fell into enjoying very much in my profession when it comes to dealing with chronic conditions like with diabetes or hypertension. Since at a very age while I was still in school, I had my grandmother was diagnosed with that. So whenever I would come home, they would ask, "Hey, what are we supposed to eat? Are we eating right?" and all of that. So that it actually helped me develop a passion for focusing on actually enjoying doing more of the chronics, because while during the blogs that are happening during good days, when you go to the community during community nutrition, when you do therapy at the hospitals, you will tend to enjoy more. So now when you're at the private, when you're outside school and you're at a working environment, that will also assist you in terms of the patients that we are seeing within a hospital setting. As I'm still in the hospital setting myself, I see both challenges, I see both benefits in terms of the services that I'm bringing on board. So you need to look in yourself as to what is it that can work for me in the space that I'm at, in the area that I'm at, what is short from my services. So you need to be on the lookout for that. Also interacting with other stakeholders, with other professionals, with your doctors, because mostly dietitians will normally depend mostly on our GPs to actually send patients to our offices, but also having a relationship with the doctors when you want to start coming into private practice. But also going back to the question that was asked earlier about can you start a private practice while you're doing ComServe? My answer would be yes, you can, because while you're doing your ComSelf, that's where you will start building a relationship with the doctors. That's when you will start building a relationship with patients. Then doctors will see your services, what you're doing here, and you will interact, because some of the doctors that we work with are also practicing outside and have practices and all of that. So in terms of space, your work will be the one that opens the doors for you in a way. And then also the marketing part as a dietitian, the marketing part plays a huge role as a dietitian. For you to start, as I mentioned earlier, you need to have a good relationship with your doctors. You need to have a good relationship with your clients, so that when the patient comes in to see you, they walk out your door with a smile, and they will go out there and share your services, and they will go out there and share you. They will also go back to the doctor themselves, and the doctor will have good feedback, and therefore the doctor will be willing to send more patients on your way. But also you need to take advantage of the space of marketing itself. You need to have you need to have your business cards ready, you need to have your pamphlets, you need to do more radio talks at the local radio station where you are based, because the environment, the area, since you are working at the hospital level, if you are working still at the hospital level, or if you are full-time private, that should tell you, it's okay, around this area, what is it that is a problem? How many conditions that you are seeing, especially in the area that I'm currently practicing and the hospital that I'm currently working at, Mapulaneng Regional Hospital. We are seeing a lot of chronic. So that on its own sort of like motivates you, because as I said, I started enjoying what I was doing while I was still at school doing this thing, and passionate about. I developed a passion during that time. So when I'm at the practice level right now, it becomes very easy for me to do the work. So the work will actually do itself because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. I'm going to have the energy to do all of these awarenesses. I'm going to have the energy to make appointments with all the GPs around, tell them about my services, and also offer material that you might have, specifically for just going to round it up to diabetic patients, since looking at the stats of diabetics is rising each and every year, and a lot of people are actually struggling to assist in that condition. So what we would do is that what you can do as a dietitian is that you would have your pocket diary, which will assist your clients to record their daily glucose, to record their daily BPs. That is also one of the material that you can use. The patient can be happy, and the patient being happy, the patient is going to talk about you on the street. Having glucometers, and also going to length of doing actually home visits, because now we see a patient, the patient comes in this week, the next week the patient is still having the same problem. But if you include doing home visits to those patients, that will assist, because then you will have the background of the family, you will have the background of who's staying with the patient and who's doing all of that, and also going to an extent of assisting the patient with the home garden, instead of using money to go buy those vegetables, to go buy those fruits, to go buy all the food stores, all the food that is needed. That is also going to assist in seeing a space with that. So as a dietitian, you need to be involved, you need to be available, because I'm currently, for an example, I'm currently in Mapulaneng in Bushbuckridge, but my practice is at Hazyview. There's another one in Bush, and then you need to also plan around that, as in, like, if there's a patient that you're supposed to see in Bushbuckridge, how are you gonna accommodate the ones that are at Hazyview? But for starters, you can start with one, and then I'm just making an example because now it's been some time since I've been in the field. So you can start with one, and then you can talk to the doctor, and then they will welcome you, they will do all of those things, and then having all of these teams that they are talking about. Because as for me, since I'm focusing, I'm passionate about the diabetes. Now, having all the other professions, having your GP, having your optom, having your occupational therapist, having your clinical psychologist, working with all of those professionals, they will also assist in terms of flow and referrals, because those conditions that I've just mentioned, just to name a few, also all of those professions that I've mentioned play a key role in actually managing the diabetes and the high blood. So also going to an extent, as a dietitian, for you to be successful in private practice, you must have all of those things that I've just mentioned. You know, your TV, your radio awarenesses, your pamphlets. Also going to an extent of actually, after seeing a patient, in a few days or in 2 days or 3 days, you call that patient and you check how are you doing, how are you make the patient feel like you are involved. That's you playing your role as a dietitian. And then another thing that you can do, that I can say to the upcoming dietitians, maybe the ones that are still doing ComServes and the ones that are about to graduate, is that there's still a lot of opportunities out there. You just need to go deep and look. What is it that you can do in your area? In my area, as I've mentioned, is that I'm passionate about diabetes. I feel excited when a doctor calls and say, Emweni, there's a diabetic patient that you want that I would like you to assist. And you go there and you see that patient. But then there's still an opportunity within that area. As I've mentioned, that the stats of diabetes is rising almost every now and then. Your hypertension, all your chronics, they are rising. That is where a dietitian is playing a very vital role in terms of assisting those patients. But we also see that most patients that are coming here, that we are seeing, and that we're seeing also at the hospital and private, we don't have enough dietitians out there. We need more dietitians out there. So the ones that are coming out, there is a need, there is a space for you guys in the private practice, because at the current moment, as the stats increasing, but yet again, no efforts has been made in terms of investing in diabetes. Because right now we don't even have, do we have more diabetic clinics? We don't have. If the government or if the stakeholders can just look, okay, for an example, look at how much time and money was invested in the HIV campaign. Now, if you take what happened in the HIV campaign and invest it again also on diabetes, also on hypertension, because those conditions, they keep on rising. Now, if we have more clinics, if we have more dietitians, if we have more diabetic clinics, now more dietitians will have employment, because currently employment for dietitians is not enough. So dietitians, there's still a lot of space that can be done in the private field. So as a dietitian, I can say that just to round it up, because a lot of the speakers have said a lot, just to round it up on dietetics specifically, is that you need to trust yourself. You need to have confidence in yourself. You need to enjoy what you're doing, because this is a business, as the last speaker has said. This is a business. You need to find yourself on how to manage it, because you'll find yourself getting lost in the way. The other speaker mentioned about accepting everyone. As a start, yes, you can do that, but still, when you find your niche, then you will be able to channel yourself in terms of what is it that you want to focus on, what is it that you can be able to fulfill and do more on that. So when you do that, when the patient is happy, when the doctor is happy, when the other professionals are happy as a team, then you will be able to actually do more. Now, remember to have your equipment ready. That is why it can be an advantage starting while you're doing ComServe, because one of the challenges that are there for dietitians in the private practice is resources, is funding. So while you're doing a ComServe, if you can just prepare yourself as to looking for that office, having conversation with the doctors, making those appointments, and filling that space in the private practice, you will definitely, I'm sure of it, that you can definitely do well, because your work, the work that you'll be doing will be on top, will be the best work that the patient has ever had. The patients with a happy patient, that means that that patient will bring more business in your practice. And also have all of those things ready. Go to an extent of assisting patients with also having cooking recipes. Going to those home visits will also assist in the entire family to follow a healthy diet, because a diabetic diet is actually a healthier diet for everyone that the entire family can live on. So you will definitely do well in private practice. There's still a need, because right now it's my dream, it's my goal to actually see dietitians filling the space in the private practice, seeing dietitians growing in the private practice, seeing dietitians developing one day a fully functioning diabetic clinic with all the other stakeholders, with all your OT, your psychologist, your physio, your speech therapist, your optometry, all of those professionals that plays a role in managing such patients and conditions. Now, also, one, you need to develop yourself. You need to attend CPDs. You need to attend conferences, because our profession, there's always daily research that's coming out. There's something coming out this week, and there's something else coming up this week on updates on whatever conditions that they are there, you need to be updated on, because you cannot be talking about something that was released in 2010 and you're talking about now in 2015. So you need to keep yourself updated. So if you keep yourself updated, number one, you will be confident in what you are doing, because you will have the knowledge on how to give updated information. The patients will be happy, the doctors will be happy, the other stakeholders will be happy. That will assist you in the flow of work, and in that way you will receive you think you will receive more of referrals that are going to come in. So discovering yourself is very much important. That's what I can say to the upcoming ones, is that you need to have confidence in yourself. You need to trust what you're doing, and talking to the doctors, talking to the family, talking to the patients, talking to the other stakeholders, talking to companies, which will assist you with material that you might not have at that point in time, as you will be starting a private practice. But then help is there. You just need to reach out. And also, as you are starting, you need to be mindful of let me say, for an example, you just found out about private practice. You just realized late that in my profession as a dietitian, there is a need for a dietitian in that area. There's a need for a dietitian in that area. Then preparing early as now would actually assist you in actually becoming successful in the private practice. Now, because I'm focusing on diabetes, to make an example. There's a whole lot of range that are happening, because diabetes is very ambiguous. It's a very big condition and topic to discuss on. So we are encouraging all dietitians to be vigilant, to be always looking out there for opportunities. Going to those radio stations is one of the things that can assist one to develop. I'm just sorry I don't have the presentation in the slides, showing in the slide, but it will be uploaded in due time. But then, because then another thing that one can look at is inquiring. You know, you need to inquire. You need to talk to other dietitians that are doing well in private practice. Talk to them. How are you doing it? How are you managing? And how are you managing your time specifically? Because time is an investment when it comes to us as professionals. Where do you invest it, and how do you do as a business? Because this is a business that you are focusing on. So you need to have time to do all of those things, developing those pamphlets, planning those appointments, planning those awarenesses, and just give yourself time, and everything will fall into place. But you must remember, the best services, everything that you do is going to be linked to the services that you are doing. Referrals, it's also going to depend on the services that you are bringing, because I can see one patient, and that one patient can go out there and bring 10 more patients. I can see one patient, and that one patient will be the last patient that I'll be seeing in the private practice. So you need to have everything. You need to have all the bases checked. You need to have all the information checked. You need to have the latest information that you have. You must have it in place, but then for dietitians, there's still a lot of opportunity in the private practice. As currently right now, we are seeing dietitians that couldn't be absorbed by the government, unfortunately, but yet they are still doing very well in the private practice. They're still doing very well. They're still pushing in the private practice, and it's working. Hence, I'm also encouraging the ComServers, the ones that are gonna graduate, that are gonna be doing ComServes in the next year coming, is that you can start looking into yourself right now. You need to find what is it that you are going to be bringing. Where are you going to work? Do your research. How is the setup? How's the distance, and how far can people reach you? You must be accessible at all times. And then looking at the part of the strategies that you can try to take advantage of is part of the things that I've already mentioned. It's just putting yourself out there and doing a good work, doing the job that you are required to do, that you've studied to do, getting your equipment ready, getting your office ready, having the relationship with other professionals, and then as long as you master your marketing, and then you can do well. The other speakers and program director have already touched. I think with what I've just mentioned is that you just need to find yourself. You just need to look within. The other speakers have already spoken about all of that, but I just want to emphasize the point of there is a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity. There's still a huge gap in the private practice for dietitians, which we really need to close. We're still seeing a lot of obesity. We're still seeing a lot of severe acute malnutrition. We're still seeing a lot of other conditions that are happening there, whereby dietitians can play a role in reducing the stats and reducing the number of mortality in that space. So one just needs to find themselves, just to look around the area, just to look around themselves, look around, also look within themselves as to where do they want to be after themselves, what are they passionate about, and then start immediately working towards that. I don't know whether I'm still on the right time, but it looks like I'm still on the right time. So
yes,
we just need to actually push ourselves, because dietitians, they are, as I said, they are minimal. We don't have a lot of dietitians out there, and we need more dietitians out there. Clearly, clearly on government side, there isn't much post availability for now. So we are encouraging the upcoming one to also look at the space of private. Look at the space of private. There's definitely a lot of opportunities that can be done there. I don't know if there'll be questions that are going to be coming after, or especially for dietitians, but that is one thing that one must look at, being updated, because also when you are updated, you are able to see, okay, now in my area, such condition is on the rise, and there's nothing done about that. Such condition is on the rise at Hazyview, such condition is on the rise in Mkhuhlu, and looking at the hospitals themselves. So that should also give you an idea to say, okay, this is a space that I can use. This is what I can focus on when it comes to my passion. What I have within me is that I can use it there in that space, and then yeah, it can definitely work well. And then just marketing yourself and doing your proper research, having your equipment, having your material, can also assist greatly with the upcoming dietitians. Time management, the last speaker has already spoken about it. You need to manage your time. I think I've covered a few, but more, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mbongeni. There's quite a heated conversation that is happening in the comments. We have Nosipho Sheng, who has a number of questions that are regarding your profession specifically, and there are some answers that are being provided in the comment section that that has been shared. The first question was specifically with regards to having a locum. It was answered, but the question was that, is there a registration process to follow to have a locum, or is there a way to register someone as your locum? The answer that was provided in the comments was that as long as that person is registered themselves with the HPCSA, then it's sufficient. But it is prudent to have the registration documents with you when you work with them, so that you know that they are updated, I guess, for that, in that respect. But that question was Nosipho's first question. We do have a number of questions that have been asked, and I will show the first one, which is this one that you can see on your screen. The question has been addressed in the comments, but I'm presenting to you as well, so that you can be able to give us your view of specifically this question.
Okay, how to tell a client that always okay. Okay, it does happen. It does happen that because people, when they see dietitians, they think we're just gonna tell me what to eat, you know, how to eat, and what to. It's just specifically simple food that is there. But then what we do is that you don't just end at the food part. You talk to the patient about their condition. You involve them in their condition. You go deeper with the condition so that they get the message, and then therefore the underestimating part will sort of be resolved in that way, because now the patient will be enlightened about the condition. Because most of the patients, specifically when it comes to diabetes and high blood, most patients, they just understand that I have diabetes, now I have treatment, now I don't eat sugar. That's all most of them, that's all they know. But then now we come in and tell them that sugars, they come from this food and that food and that food and that food, and you find out that the patient has been eating like that for quite some time. And whatever they're gonna be feeling now, when you enlighten them with, when your blood sugar is high, this is what you normally feel. When your blood sugar is low, this is what you normally feel. Then that patient will be like, oh yes, I remember all of the days I usually feel like this. I usually feel drained. I usually feel powerless. All of those things that are happening. So that part can also assist in terms of a patient actually taking you seriously and understanding what you're actually saying, because they I don't think they didn't know about that. And then what's the next question?
The next question by Nosipo. I'm just going to go according to the person who asked questions. There's 3 people, but her next question was this one.
Okay, so yes. No, they do. That is true. So it's gonna be up to you to actually play around with the conversation, play around with the consultation. Like actually what I usually do is that when I ask about sugar, when I ask about sugary foods, when I ask about fatty foods, not to mention your KFC, your fatty foods and all of that, normally they would end up saying during the consultation, during the conversation, because you are involving the patient. Now they would say, yes, on that day I usually steal or take streetwise 3 or streetwise 2 or whatever foods that they shouldn't be eating at that point in time. So it's up to the conversation and how are you living with the client, because you need to build a rapport with the patient. You need to make them feel calm. You need to make them feel free and space and all of that. Eventually such information definitely going to come out, because you also need to tell them that there's no point in them hiding in this information, because it's in their benefit. As you would have explained the condition to themselves and the dangers of eating such foods and all of that, linking closer to harm complications. So therefore they will, during the conversation, they will feel the need to come out and say, and I've been eating like this for some days. I've been eating like that for some days. Definitely during the consultation, that such an answer will definitely come out. As myself, just to make an example, since I'm saying I'm very passionate about that, there's a lot more that I can talk to a person about. There's a lot more that I can talk to a person about sitting in front of me. There's a lot that I can go deeper into their household details, into their household environment. Who are they staying with? What are they doing? How are they eating? Who's preparing the food and all of that? Because a lot of them, majority of them, they don't even cook for themselves. Another person is preparing the food for them. So you find themselves, that's when they're going to start talking to say, but I'm not the one that is cooking. The kids, they don't understand. The aunt doesn't understand. So I just eat because I'm hungry at that point in time. So in our deep rural community, we see such patients and we see that this is a major problem to us, to ourselves, and to our doctors to say, because now that patient is going to keep on coming back and it's going to be like that's as if we're not doing our job. So we need to get deeper to the patient, and it's unfortunate because we are expecting, because we will have to go to that land to actually get the deeper truth and actually assist those patients. So enlightening them about their condition, about their status, and about their well-being, and where is it going from here, and where is it gonna go? Chances are, in the next 2 years or so, if the blood sugar level, if the high blood pressure, especially if there's also obesity, you need to let them know that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chances are it's gonna happen if we don't take care of this issue right now. Let us help you. And then holistically as a team, then we will link with the doctor, because immediately after seeing that patient, I would go to the doctor. I would go to the doctor and have a discussion with the doctor, because the doctor might have a different perception of view about that patient, because patients can be different with all professions. The patient can be honest with the doctor but not be honest with the dietitian, can be honest with the clinical psychologist but not honest with the dietitian, because apparently we're not giving them the food that they're supposed to be eating. We're telling them not to eat all the nice foods that they are there. But then after the consultation, then they get to see that, you know what, yes, I might be diabetic, I might be high blood, but there's still a lot of variety of foods that are nice that I can still enjoy. I'm just cutting the sugar, I'm just cutting the fat. But I think that will sort of assist in getting our patients to open up.
Thank you for that. Then another question, which will be, I think, the second last question in respect of time, is from Punyoga Vuma, which is, how do you get remunerated for services such as home visits and developing home gardens?
With that one, it depends, because if the home visits are only done as I'm only doing home visits when I'm following up a patient, isn't it? The first time the patient is going to come to the practice. Now, when I'm following up the patients, because now I want to build my clientele. It's all about building my business. It's all about building my business, as just to get my clients to talk about me more. It's not like I'm going to go to everyone that I see there. Only those specifics that I see that, you know what, these patients are struggling. I'm going to go to their house, and because going to their house is just going to be, you know what, I'm just ripping everything up. And then from now going onwards, that patient is not going to have problems with their blood sugar anymore. That problems are not going to have problems with their heart pressure anymore, because a lot of things I would have covered at that point in time. The stress level at the household, because most of the patients that are struggling with those conditions, the stress level at their household is also a challenge, because their blood sugar level and all of that is always going to be high. So coming into that space, I'm closing that. So in terms of payment, I see them as a follow up. I don't just randomly show up. I go there to work with them, to be with them, and then it's a follow up on my side from the practice.
Thank you. Then the last question we have directed to you is this one from Zamatukane Dlala, which is, ideally, how does a dietitian go about assessing a PT online while ensuring transparency and honesty of assessment in terms of relevant anthropometric measurements?
Oh, okay. Those ones they can do it themselves, isn't it? That one part I'm gonna be seeing the patient just like we are seeing each other in this platform. I'm gonna see the patient. I'm gonna see the weight on the scale. I'm gonna get their height. I'm gonna see their feet. I'm just gonna do that, and then we will take it from there. We will continue with the assessment. We will continue with the consultation from there.
Thank you very much. All right, we will
Yes.
move on to our next speaker. Before we move on to our next speaker, I just want to reintroduce myself to the rest of the attendees. My name is Prince Lewis, and I am from a company called Pride Afrique. We are an IT company that assists with all IT related requirements. So if you do need to contact us, we are currently in partnership with Karabo Health Management. You can contact us in these details, and we will be gladly to assist for any IT or social media or digital requirements for your business, especially going into private practice. Our next speaker is Dr. Prudence Buthelezi formerly or well known as Dr. Prue, who is a GP based in the Mpumalanga province, and who's going to be sharing with us her insights with regards to finding your niche in private practice. Over to you, Dr. Prue, while we upload your presentation. You're still muted.
Okay, thank you so much, Prince, and thank you so much to our panelists, Dr. Sibui, Mr. Mbongeni, Mrs. Shoni, and Prof. Maeba. I really appreciate your time. Angisho nje ukuthi this was a fruitful event. I think everyone has received more information and they're going to do better when they go back. Mr. Sibui, I believe when they say everything happens for a reason, the past session, as it was postponed, we had so many problems that were facing us. One of them that I can highlight is that we had only 2 people who have registered, and today you were presenting to more than 100 who are attending tonight. So everything happens for a reason. We must not complain. But thank you so much. As I'm going to start, I'm going to switch off my camera so that you just only see the slides. I think everyone has explained what is a niche and define it from Mr. Sibui, Prof, and Shoni. So I'm not gonna repeat it again. Can we pass it? Yes. So who needs niche? I say the answer is everyone who's here needs to have a niche. Why? Because the world has an increasing number of unemployed healthcare professionals. As Mbongeni has said, we have an unhealthy lifestyles that are leading to a rise in chronic illnesses. And this will need a specialized healthcare practices, which has never have been more pressing. So as practitioners, we have a responsibility to meet these evolving needs head on and tailor our services to address them effectively. What I want to touch more about unemployment, we see that doctors now are on doi because of unemployment. But if we can take back, how many dietitians and nutritionists are unemployed? What about dentists? Because most of them, after post-concept, they will only take 2 in a hospital. Others, they are released to be unemployed. Physiotherapists, occupational therapists, all of us, we are facing unemployment. And therefore, there is a need for us to start to be in business. There is a need for us to start to be in private practices because that's our business that we know, or we have the skills that we have knowledge about. Therefore, we don't need to go around hating on each other. If somebody opens a practice next to me, I should understand that there's unemployment. So where do I expect them to go? They will open the practice next to me. But all I need to do is to have a niche, to find my passion, to find my uniqueness, so that why the patient, they should choose my practice. We can go to the next slide. I will just talk about my own personal journey. Firstly, before this one of the IV drip bars. Initially, I think around 2008, when I was starting my private practice, when I'm in private practice, by the way, and I'm also a sessional doctor in the public sector, in the clinics and in the hospitals. So whenever I'm in casualty, I will notice that I see many young women with septic abortion. And most of them, they were done by bogus doctors. And most of the private GPs were not doing a termination of pregnancy. So I started to see there that there's a need of our community to do termination of pregnancy. And I have studied medicine. And now my community, they are helped by bogus doctors. And they end up losing their womb. They end up losing their life. What am I doing as a doctor? Then, therefore, I went and upgraded my skills of doing termination of pregnancy. I remember I was trained by the late Prof. Mhlanga on how to even evacuate them in my private practice. Then I started to do termination of pregnancy. And there was an increased number of patients in my private practice. Yes, I've stopped now because now many around me, especially registered healthcare professionals, they are doing termination of pregnancy. So sometimes you just look around, what is in your area, the community they need most? What is the problem? What is their cry? What is their pain? And once you have a solution, that solution, it can be your passion. It can be your niche. As I go on, I remember I was visiting in Gauteng, and then my sister said, take me, just accompany me to the mall, Main Lane. I want to go for an IV drip bar. When I arrived there at Main Lane, I asked who's the owner. And I found it's a non-medical person. Then I started to trace all the existing IV drip bars. And I found that the owners are non-medical. And they don't even know what is vitamin B12, what is vitamin B, or what is thiamine or whatsoever. And I, the doctor, have knowledge about this. Hence, I was the first doctor here in Mpumalanga to run the IV drip bar long ago, around 2009, 2010. So I started my IV drip bar. And I saw the need, especially people, they love beauty. People, they don't love, they hate to the wrinkles. They hate to grow older and show in their faces. They love beauty. So I also entered and started now to attend the ICT classes, because you need to upgrade your skills. In whatever you are going to, upgrade your skills. Mbongeni said it, and Shoni said, Shoni, I love the words that you used, the lifelong learning. You need to upgrade your skills, attend CPD points, especially whatever you want to go along to specialize in, even if it's not a specialist, but your niche. If you find out that, okay, I love diabetes, then there's their courses where even the GPs they attend, that is they even specialize as diabetologists. There's two that I know in Limpopo. Even I myself, when I have patients that are on injections that are not responding anymore to treatment, I've tried everything, the diet is not working, I call those diabetologists because I know they went into vast about diabetes. Their knowledge about it is very, very vast. And then I'll contact them to help me to treat my patient. So whatever you want to branch in, make sure that you attend your CPD points, you upgrade your skills into it. Then when I saw the need also of obesity, I myself have been suffering from obesity from the young age. From a teenager, I've been obese ever since. But you can see me right now as I'm talking to you. I'm the slimmest of them all, and I'm maintaining. Why? I went to understand that the obesity, it's a chronic disease. And I just found that now, when I was attending a course with Novo Nordisk, I went to Cape Town and I went to attend it, and then I became a better weight management GP. You can press the slide, Prince. So you understand from the weight management, you have to know the epidemiology around it. How many people are suffering from it? The race, black is white. In my black community, will I have the customers? Because we must remember that we are running a business. I think Dr. Sibui highlighted very, very, very well that we are running a business. And the Prof also said it, that we are not running a charity. We are running a business, and a business must be profitable. And you must give your service to the people who can afford your service. You must never take out in your mind We are running a business that is profitable, and you must make a profit after all. So when I noticed from the World Health Organization that obesity is been increasing since 2015, and the numbers are from the teenage age, then I saw the need that let me branch also in obesity, because this is one of the things that I myself suffering from, my family is suffering from, and most of the community is suffering from obesity. What changes can I do about our obesity if I learn more about it? Hence now I'm running obesity clinic. We can pass to the next slide. I will show you one of the things that I'm doing in my clinic. There's what we call an in-body scale. The in-body scale is one of the best scale ever that can tell you, when you look at the weight, usually when you say, hey, your weight is big, or you have a BMI, we don't even know what does the weight contain exactly. So that's when I've learned that when I'm treating the patient with obesity, there's protein that I must look at, there's water that I must look at, there's minerals that I must look at, there are muscles that I must look at, then fats. So all those, when you add them, they go to weight. As you can see, my patient, this is one of my patients. It will tell you their age, their height, and everything else. But I want you to check on the graph. We started in August last year. He was 118. We can go to the next slide. And recently, in fact, today, he is 104. And our aim is to go to 90. All he wants is to see himself to be at 92 numbers. So we are still fighting. And he understands very well, because I told him that obesity is a chronic disease, is the same as diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol. You cannot treat it once and you go home and you'll be fine. It needs to be managed yearly, monthly, or every after 6 months. I must see you every after 2 weeks. Then in that, I saw that I have constant patients who will come in and see me for the rest of their lives. Isn't it? I'm in business. So that's why I saw obesity, and none of the clinicians around who's doing obesity the way I am doing it. So you must be unique whenever you are doing something. We can go to the next slide. So how do we find your niche? It's self-reflection, your market research, and you evaluate so
I think we lost Dr. Prue. I'm gonna try to get her back. Okay, she just joined us.
I know what happened.
Dr. Prue. Okay, I think Dr. Prue is having connection issues.
Okay.
Dr. Prue, are you back with us?
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Then number 4, and then number 5 is test and iterate. Then we can go to this next slide. We will share those slides. You can read it yourself because of time. So let's explore now how you can leverage the technology, especially the media. Because I think, was it Bongeni who touched more on the media? What is important on the media? I remember it was last week where I attended one of the courses that was talking about social media and legal view. Hey, that information was very, very informative to me, because that's when I learned that even if you comment, if I'm a group leader in WhatsApp, I can be found legally if people, they comment unethical or unprofessional. As a person who's leading that WhatsApp group, I might be found legally and taken to court. So such things we need to learn. I mean, health is evolving, it's changing daily. There are new things and we need to apply them. There's media, and that media also, we must follow it according to the ethics of HPCSA. As Dr. Sibui has emphasized that we are regulated by HPCSA, so we need to know what does HPCSA say when I'm doing this. Whatever you are doing, please go back to the ethical booklets of HPCSA and learn more what you are doing. Is it correct? Is according to the ethics of HPCSA or not? It's the same as having a permanent locum. I'll add them. Permanent locum, you can have them, but they are not supposed to be there for more than 6 months. Remember, HPCSA says no one can employ a healthcare professional. So no one can employ a doctor. That's why you see in the private sector, Mediclinic cannot employ doctors. But this is what was going on, I think last year, when I was still in the board of HPCSA, they were trying the private companies now to send to HPCSA to change their regulations that they want to employ healthcare professionals because they see the need. They are coming as if they want to release the government from the post-concept that are unemployed to employ them. But most people really might not see the danger of being employed by this private sector. But we'll talk about it when I talk about HPCSA and the regulations. So what you need to know is to how to market yourself, and you should know when you market yourself to market your brand and marketing the content. It's quite two different things. As Prof said it, that you can have your own personal Facebook and have a business one. Differentiate them, because you cannot take pictures smoking a cigarette. The next thing is you are telling people not to smoke, how dangerous it is to smoke, you see, because we were sitting in a park and you forgot that you were smoking, and there you are on Facebook. So you must be careful of such things. You can go and learn. Most of my colleagues, they spoke about networking, especially Mbongeni. She touched as very, very high points there when he said, your work is the one that will open doors for you. It will help you with networking while you are still an intern, while you are still a concept. It will open doors or relationship with the private healthcare professionals, the specialists, the GPs, and other healthcare professionals like occupational therapists and physiotherapists out there. So networking is important. Prof even said it that, especially when we want CPD points, because everyone has to have a CPD. We must continue developing our profession. We must continue learning and upgrading our skills. So attending such workshop, it's important. It will help you to network with Dr. Sibui, as you heard his services and what extra things that he's doing in his practice. It will help you to, as Mbongeni has said it, that as a dietitian, they not only talk about diet, but there are extra things that they are doing as dietitian. You can learn more about occupational therapists also, what they are doing exactly, what they are doing when the patient cannot talk or walk. I've seen it with my own child when she was doing grade R. The occupational therapists, they were helping him to understand why 1 times 3 is 3. I was so shocked that how the occupational therapists, they can do that themselves. So I didn't know that. So sometimes as healthcare professionals, especially doctors, we don't know each other. What are we doing exactly? And in that, it limits us from referring our patient. So let's go out there and learn. And what is the podiatrist? What are they doing exactly? So that we can refer our patient and they get a better services. Next slide. I think that's my journey, and this is it from me. I thank you everyone. Thank you again, Prince Louis, for helping us throughout. What Prince didn't emphasize what he's doing. I think you have seen many of my videos when I send them, the videos that are playing with the a voice at the back. That is his voice. It's what he's doing for me. The flyers, marketing my practice, marketing my brand. He's the one who's been behind all that for me. So thank you so much, Prince Louis. As Pride Africa, I really appreciate your help in my industry and spreading my wings very hard. Thank you so much to Dr. Sibui. Your presentation was well prepared. All the time that you took, my brother, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Shoni. Thank you so much, my sister. You've been there for me. You've been my support, even on my TV show, Soweto TV. You've been there. Whenever I ask you, you've never disappointed. Mbongeni, to ask you in the last minute, and you jump in and you prepared yourself. And I hope in Pushback Ridge and in Hazyview, they will support you, and you will spread towards Nelspruit and in other provinces again. To my prof, I really appreciate your help. I really appreciate your time tonight. I know you were quite busy, but you took time and you teach us a lot, especially in the psychology industry. In fact, us as healthcare professionals, as running businesses, I take the way that you say, I wrote it down, marketing ourselves. As Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, they are still marketing themselves. But us, we market once, and from there we keep quiet, and that is killing our business. Thank you for taking us back there. And you said, be a practitioner that exists. Be accessible, visible, and the security. When you touch on security, you really touch one of the topics that touches my heart, where my healthcare professionals, my doctors, they get being robbed in their practices, they get being killed, hijacked, all those. So security, please, my colleagues, make sure the area that you choose, the security is very tight, and there is security around you. The police station you work, also, those are also your stakeholders. I love Sean, was it Mbongen who said, Shoni, who said, patient are your stakeholders. That's what my take home, Shoni, from you, that our patients are our stakeholders. And what I've learned from you also, Shoni, thank you so much, that I must understand myself, my values, my skills, and the knowledge. And also to know limitation. You even took me back when I was in Medunsa, when Prof. Mnukwane said, now you are passing, you are leaving Medunsa, and you are going outside there in the Bundus. Don't practice with patience, and you do something that we've never taught you here, and you go and do it outside there. So when you say know your limitations, please, colleagues, let's know our limitations, because litigation cases against healthcare professionals is increasing outside there. So let's be careful and know our limitations. Thank you so much. And thank you to all who attended tonight. Just to add on that, we will be having our next workshop. Please, if you don't follow me, please try to follow me on my Facebook, Prudence Buthelezi, or you follow me on Instagram as Dr_Pru. Or be on my WhatsApp, where you will see most of things that I will be doing, because our next one, I know, is most for GPs. That one is the completion of the J88. But what is important, if you are in a private practice and you have receptionists, you have personal assistants, we will be having a workshop in this month where we are empowering them, because they are the face of your practice. They are the one who can make your practice or break your practice also. And they are the one who can make the money to come in your practice. So you must invest in them. Your receptionists, we have a course for them, where they also come out having certificates in their hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everyone. We've come to the end of our workshop.